All right, so hello and welcome everyone to today's webinar. My name is Jai Bafulco. I'm the CMO of Kinesis. We're really excited to bring you this pre-launch webinar. I know it's been a while since we've done one. Just for the people who are unable to make it, we will be recording this. So if any of your friends or family, there will be a link sent out to you to share afterwards. So for anyone that's still joining, welcome. For everyone that wants to provide feedback post this webinar, we're going to run a short poll at the end. It's essentially just 5 questions. If you've got 5 minutes or just a couple of minutes, it'd be great if you answer them. It gives us some feedback on how we're doing. So on the call today, we have quite a lineup. We have Eric Main, our Chief Strategy Officer, Nigel Owens, our Chief Technology Officer, Richard Melbourne, the Director of Global Operations, Andrew Maguire, Advisor and Precious Metals Specialist, Christian Roche, Head of Africa Operations, and of course our CEO, Thomas Coughlin, all presenting various elements to bring you all up to speed. So the team will be touching on some interesting points, and without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to our CEO, Thomas Coughlin.
Hello everyone, thank you for joining us today. And apologies about the delay in getting online. We had some technical difficulties there. But anyway, let me just fire away as far as a bit of an update as far as where Kinesis is at this point in time. So we've got our launch, our KMS launch, just around the corner, and we are 100% on track to be launching at that time. So apologies for the delays previously. I understand that and empathize with people's frustrations around the delays, but there were a lot of things outside of our control, and we just simply, that was the best thing to do, delay and get everything super tight and bulletproof going into this launch. So as you're aware, we're adopting a pipeline. So the pipeline is effectively the exchange coming online, and that fully being like interfaced into our wallet and also into the Kinesis Mint. And then after that, you know, we've got a relatively an aggressive pipeline of rolling out our debit card facilities and rolling out mobile banking facilities. And basically, and in addition to that, obviously the commercial center, which will probably come up with a much more sort of commercial name for it, let's put it that way, and go from there. So yeah, so we're on track, obviously, from a tech perspective, and everything's looking good everywhere at the moment, and we're effectively phasing into this next sort of commercialization sequence or stage in our development, which is the commercialization phase. So as you would have seen, we've been bringing in and announcing a number of partnerships. Now, and these partnerships will continue to be announced. They're coming in really thick and fast from all over the planet, in effectively every continent across the planet as well. So, and as you may have seen, they're actually bigger and more special than anything that anyone's ever seen in the blockchain or precious metal space. Has anyone, I mean, I'll ask you the question, has anyone seen a deal and a complementary payment and even monetary system?
Hey, Tom, just to interject, if you could just go back to, has anyone ever seen, because it completely froze out for a second there.
Oh, okay, understood. At the moment, run. Effectively, has anyone seen a deal with a government whereby, you know, in the blockchain space or the precious metal space for that matter, whereby rolling out a complementary monetary and payment system within that nation? Now, as you would know, like from the Indonesian deal, that is effectively a domestic deal, and Eric will speak about this further, but also we see that as ground zero as far as rolling out to other post offices, other government-owned entities across the world. So so that's obviously, a very big sort of partnership deal for us. And I think even just that sort of angle alone really provides a great commercialization strategy, because we're working, very closely with the CEO and the management team at the PT POS Indonesian Post Office to actually push it out. Around doing this. It's not just like a side thing for them. This is of paramount importance to their commercial strategy as the post office. So he's going to be, bringing in his friends and who the CEOs of the other post offices all around the world, effectively, starting with Asia and then heading into the Middle East and perhaps Europe. So, and you'll see more news coming there. So, as I said, we're going to have an aggressive strategy to be rolling out to other post offices. The other thing I want to mention just quickly, we're about to announce today, basically the go live for a US regulated broker dealer called Series 1. You'll see a news announcement come out quite shortly around that. So they'll be rolling out to their database of accredited investors. We're hoping that will accelerate KVT sales. Also, from, I guess, the marketing side, just speaking at a higher level, we've been really busy working on a brand redesign. Now, what this brand redesign does is it takes us away from a cryptocurrency feel and really places us at a level which is, I guess, more, certainly more government friendly, let's put it that way, and more synonymous to, say, like the mobile sort of digital banking type environment. Obviously, we've got a large ecosystem that we're bringing online, and it encompasses all of that. So just speaking from, I guess, the strategic level and what I've been really enthused and encouraged by of late, what we're developing is effectively a monolithic ecosystem. And this is what I love about this business so much, because, okay, out of any kind of economy, it's powered by the monetary system. The monetary system is the backbone of it that you can effectively plug anything into. So this is how these deals are coming together, and we can do deals effectively with any business. And obviously any person can be a partner or user as well. So we're actively now going out procuring these business deals. And we have our own extensive network already. We're in a highly privileged position to inherit effectively the relationships that we already had established with ABX, and now we're just sort of building upon them. So the ABX relationships were obviously, very dominant in the precious metal space, pretty much all in the precious metal space. And now we're expanding to all different sort of core activities and services required in a society. So yeah, we've got the Kinesis monetary system, and it's going to have a marketplace. But what we're actually seeing at the moment is even the existing model, it's growing. The reason why it's growing is we're bringing in platforms and businesses which provide core services in people's everyday lives. And I see this as like an amazing corporate positioning where Apple and Google or Amazon have sort of taken over our household. What we're looking to do is go the next step above them and actually take over the day-to-day, not take over, but provide the seamless service and ability and value to an empowerment to people and governments for that matter. We're government friendly. to take over basically their everyday lives, to provide a solution for their everyday lives. So there might be something for health, there might be something for travel, there might be something for education, or there might be something that helps, you know, like people sort of get around, like transport in their city, or help them in their everyday lives. And you'll see more and more news coming out, and you'll see the ecosystem just expanding. And it's rather amazing because it's limitless. So, and it's very, very exciting where we are. Every conversation I open, there's not one no. It's, okay, how can we work together? Yes, I see this. Yes, it's relatively easy to integrate. Let's keep things going. And I know I've gone over time already, but I want to expand on this a little bit further, where, you know, we have a really, really strong strategy to do business with effectively government-owned entities and affect nationwide rollouts. And Christian will be on the call later. He's doing this in Africa, and we've got a strategy in doing it in Asia, and we're doing this effectively all over the world. So what's really brilliant, and let me give you a little bit of an idea around this strategy. So we now have, obviously we have the ABX exchange. It's plug and play white label for any other national exchange in the world. So what that means is we can go to a national exchange. So obviously there's been announcements around JFX, Jakarta Futures Exchange. We can go to any other exchange anywhere around the world and say, hey, look, do you want to expand your services and your revenue lines? No problem. We've got a solution for you. You can white label our exchange technology, right? Roll that out to your member base that then goes downstream to your end users and roll out this solution. Oh yeah, and by the way, you can now monetize and liquefy to a greater degree divisible units of that currency by using this blockchain-powered payment system. And then we get, you know, then you can just open the conversation with the post office in that certain region and roll out a nationwide payment system. So it's really easy for us to do this. The way that ABX helps us is something that is completely invaluable, and I don't even have like proper words for it, because it is basically the door opener to get into nations worldwide. And that's from a cold basis. But now what we have these deals already done with post offices, with exchanges, and they're bringing in their friends in other, you know, exchanges or post offices around the world. And that's all you really need. Then you just need to, you know, engage and collaborate with the regulator, with the government, you know, jump through all the right hoops there, and you've got a nationwide rollout. And that way we completely differentiate ourselves from, say, Silicon Valley, which effectively steals the data of the country and is really anti-government, to a real, like a compatible and collaborative rollout in certain regions all around the world. And this is what we're undertaking, and we're extremely confident that this is just going to spread. We're already seeing it, and we're not even launched. We're well, and as far as the commercialization roadmap, we're well ahead of where I thought we would be at this time. I didn't even think that these discussions and these deals that we're signing with pen and paper right now would even be possible until we had a live operating solution. But we're doing it. So I know there's been a lot of discussion around velocity and market cap, everything like that. Well, with these nationwide rollouts, I think that we're going to be hitting targets there. So anyway, I've gone completely over the time that I was supposed to go down. So I'll hand it over to who's next? Eric.
Great, thanks, Tom. Thanks. So look, just to build a little bit on the Indonesian perspective, what Tom had mentioned, I'll just make a few highlights and delve into some of the particulars so that people can get a context of what that really means. So obviously Indonesia is a greenfields opportunity. Yeah, I mean, we have the support and full support, as Tom mentioned, of very large government organizations, such as the Postal Service, commercial organizations and membership organizations such as NU with 100 million Muslim members. But what does this mean commercially for Kinesis? So as you have seen in recent press releases, and I'll just go through a couple of those that and highlight what they mean. So what does this mean commercially for Kinesis? In the press releases, we talked about first the vault agreement that we have with the Poland. Kinesis will own the first purpose-built bullion vault in Indonesia, which will be mandated for, Indonesia is a big gold producing and demand center. And the mandate is that anything within Indonesia will have to utilize that vault. So for us, first of all, that gives us Kinesis, a brand within Indonesia and even regionally. I mean, there'll be bullion coming in and out internationally. So Kinesis will be known as, a brand within the precious metal space, and something that will be well known within Indonesia. So the branding is something that gets our name out there. On top of that, of course, it diversifies our revenue a little bit. So Kinesis will be getting storage revenues. And while this doesn't, and those storage revenues will come not just from the Kinesis ecosystem, it will come from any gold trading that happens within Indonesia through the Jakarta Futures Exchange, through over-the-counter bullion holders and so forth. So that revenue stream, while it doesn't contribute to velocity or transactions on Kinesis, what it does do is provide a direct offset for the Kinesis ecosystem of providing zero storage costs across for everybody. These revenues go directly to offset that. But more importantly, the bigger story, of course, is on the payment side. So, in cross-border payments, remittances. So, that certainly goes to transactions and velocity and whatnot. So we've agreed in principle now with PT POS, the Postal Service, to facilitate cross-border payments. We call it cross-border value because we're using gold and KAU as the interim to facilitate this. Malaysia will be the first partnership that we do together with PT POS on this. Malaysia, there are 3 million Indonesian migrant workers in Malaysia that routinely send $200-300 each month home. And a lion's share of that, or I shouldn't say a lion's share, a large share of that is facilitated through the Malaysian Post Office to the PT POS, the Indonesian Post Office via Western Union at very exorbitant cost. So PT POS has agreed to introduce, I'll be going there next month, and PT POS has agreed to introduce us to the top executives at the Malaysian Post to work out a deal where the Kinesis ecosystem using KAU will be the pipeline for those Indonesians in Malaysia to send money home through the Malaysian Post Office to the Indonesian Post Office, and then taking the local fiat out, and that will include the debit card, branded debit cards in Indonesia and so forth. So it trickles down to a lot of different elements there. So this is the first one of many. It's the vision of the president of the director and president of the Indonesian Post Office to expand this to each of the postal service that they have direct relationships with in all the ASEAN countries, and then on to the Middle East, because of course another big cross-border remittance market for Indonesians is Saudi Arabia and UAE, where there's a couple million migrant workers there. So this is the first, working with Malaysia and the Indonesian Post Office, but yeah, exciting times, and we have their full support. They know that by using this route, we've already given them, we've already gone over with them the economics of this. And not only will it be significantly cheaper for those utilizing it, those migrant workers using this facility, but it'll actually increase the revenues that that each postal service on each side makes, because Western Union, basically doesn't give them very much for providing that facility. So they're very happy to do it and to push it forward. So those are the couple first initiatives out of Indonesia. There's other things, including smart city elements and all that. But I just, in due course, you'll be hearing about all these things as they come about. But I just wanted to give a highlight of those first couple of things and what the context was and what that means for us. That's it for me.
Lovely. And thank you, Eric. And back to you, Tom.
Yeah, and just quickly expanding on what Eric was saying there as well, you will see also an extension of, over time, of what we're actually doing in Indonesia as well. So we've made announcements around what we're currently doing. You'll see more announcements, an expansion of what we're doing there as well. And we'll be providing additional solutions to the post office. And then in Indonesia, then that becomes like the template to replicate in other countries. And basically the value proposition gets built out. The more like postal systems that come in, the more nations that come in. So that's effectively what we're doing. And I said this on an interview recently. Obviously the low-hanging fruit for us are the nations with a large unbanked and underbanked population. So factor in like Asia, Middle East, Latin America, Africa. They're right in our wheelhouse and right in our crosshairs at this point in time. Hence our various different initiatives in those continents. As I was saying, we've got this rolling, and I see a question here. You've lost a lot of us at we're pro-government. Okay, well, a government represents its people ultimately. Yeah, we do have oppressive governments around the world that might not do the greatest thing for people, but that's who they're representing, the people. A Silicon Valley company is representing themselves, and what they do is they steal the data of nations. You go onto Google Maps, and that's all data obtained that belongs to a nation, or belongs to a city, or belongs to a state. So I'm not pro that. I'm not pro the theft and then sale of people's individual. And we're doing is actually empowering the people by actually working with their nations or with their states or with their cities to actually maintain value of people's data and information and empower them. So yeah, that's what I'd say to that comment. I'm certainly not pro the theft and sale of data. So moving on, who's next up, Joe?
So Tom, we're going to cover off on the a couple of the deals there, Rejuvenan Series 1.
Yes, sorry. So yeah, with you would have seen the news recently with Rejuvenan. That falls directly in the basket of what I was talking about before, how we're building out our ecosystem. So health services are obviously a core function. As you've seen from that release, Rejuvenan is like a preventative care healthcare solution. So effectively, it like incorporates artificial intelligence. It gives people the power of actually controlling and owning their healthcare data and who they actually share it with. In addition to that, it will like train people to be healthy. You plug in your genetic details, you plug in your daily habits and this and that, and it basically builds this profile of them and will teach them to be healthy. It gives them different ranks and scores, and effectively we're also building out a rewards program around that. And obviously you can make a connection between financial health, physical health, and emotional health. And that's sort of what we're doing here in tying things together with Rejuvenon. We'll be building out a a rewards platform based around KAU and KAG. The really great thing, and we have like a strategy here in offering these reward systems to platforms. And this can be any platform that will benefit from a rewards program. Obviously for the participant of that platform, the user of that platform, to receive the rewards, then they need to set up a Kinesis wallet. So we can go out and say, okay, well, we're going to allocate some KAU, KAGs to a rewards platform of a reward system of a certain platform, and then go in with effectively value ready to distribute to large user bases, and in accordance with their a planned rewards platform, and then gain the users of that already large user base. And so it really speeds up adoption. So if you look at our adoption curve here, we've got effectively government-owned entities and postal systems. A postal system in all these unbanked and underbanked nations, just so you know, is the cornerstone of the payments industry and sometimes financial industry. And they're effectively, you know, like banks with thousands or tens of thousands of branches. Then tie it to these reward platforms that we can go out in, and you've got infiltration of government, like government-owned entities and governments and nations. You've got infiltration at the corporate level, and then obviously we'll have we're rolling out various initiatives that you're going to see rolled out in the not too distant future, designed to really reach out to the end user. We've got some really great initiatives coming out, which we look forward to sharing with you as well. So that covers off Rejuvenon Series 1. I think I sort of mentioned that. They're a US registered broker-dealer, and they'll be going out to their client base of accredited investors, so high net worth investors, and that you'll see a acceleration of KVT sales from that. In addition, with the KVT sales, we're also working with some very large investors in bringing that in, ultra high net worth investors from around the world, effectively billionaires. So yeah, that's a bit of an update there.
Brilliant. I think Rich, you're up.
Okay, great. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, Crystal.
Fantastic. Thanks for that, Tom. So at Kinesis, you know, it's pretty obvious that we love to receive feedback and comments and requests from our community. And of course, at Kinesis, we listen as well. Now, one question that we have been asked fairly often is, when will the Kinesis currencies be integrated with a hardware wallet? For those of you who are unfamiliar with what a hardware wallet is, it is a physical device that is separate from your computer or smartphone, and it's required to authorize a transaction from your wallet. So it provides an additional layer of security where you must press a physical button on a device to actually send digital currency from your wallet to another address. Additionally, the hardware wallet is encrypted and shielded from the internet-connected device of which it interacts with. So what does this mean? It means that your private key and your recovery phrase is never exposed to an internet-connected, potentially vulnerable device. So why would anyone want to use a hardware wallet? What are some of the use cases here? Of course, it caters to those who take security very seriously. That's a given. But additionally, there's a lot of other interesting cases as well. For example, some people may want to segregate a portion of their holdings into cold storage or offline storage, kind of like a vault, and keep it separate from an allocation that they use for their day-to-day spend with their Kinesis currency. Also, those who want to have an additional layer of security just by having to confirm from a third-party device with a physical button, having that extra layer of protection there is very appealing. And finally, the fact that it can protect users from exposure to malicious software and viruses is also a very important thing, which is appealing to a lot of users. Now, with that said, I'm pleased to announce that Kinesis has partnered with a hardware wallet provider. Now, Kinesis, of course, strives to form relationships with innovative partners, and this particular hardware wallet that we're integrating with certainly is innovative and unique in its function. It incorporates multiple layers of security, actually more layers than a lot of hardware wallets currently on the market. It's a very interesting case, which we'll reveal at a later stage. It provides the functionality is very interesting as well. It provides a great medium between cold storage, the added protection of a hardware wallet, and of course, accessibility to your Kinesis currencies. Now, I can't say too much more about it, but we will be releasing more information in the very near future. So if you haven't already, be sure to sign up to the mailing list via the Kinesis website. So you'll receive all the details as they occur about this exciting development and many of the others too that we are discussing on tonight's call. So that's all from me. I'd like to now hand over to Christian for a Africa update.
Cheers. Thanks, Richard. Thank you for having me online as well with you, James. And hello to everyone all over the world. Okay, so a bit of background on Africa. As you all know, Kinesis treasures, the community, and I've been particularly involved in signing up a number of blockchain associations into the Kinesis mix. In fact, one of the largest ones is a Pan-African blockchain platform, which gives us let's call it a railway into 24 African countries. And they will also, in one way or another, become ambassadors of the Kinesis platform, within their communities. One of our current partnerships is with, of course, with our advisor Shemezi in Nigeria. He's had great success engaging with community through his blockchain initiatives as well. And also mobilizing, certain members to go wider into the Nigerian community and discuss Kinesis. The other platform is based in Kenya. We're now formalizing a MOU with this blockchain association as well. And as they grow, we grow with them. So they will be meeting out from Nairobi. They'll be opening up an office in Mombasa as well, and also spread, their wings, throughout the Kenyan economy. Then we have, of course, a couple of MOUs on the table as well. In fact, it is moving along very, very smoothly. As you all know, I've been for some time, I've been involved in a governmental department in South Africa, which is particularly aimed at the rural communities. So after our election period, they have now given a green light for us to start engaging on how we can take a banking platform into the rural communities. And of course, they focus around, the saving and the financial education of the community members. So we've got a discussion there underway as well. And then, of course, in other parts of Africa, another MOU that we're currently busy with is an MOU with a stock exchange. The stock exchange also provide a green light. In fact, also from a support perspective, they will be providing a lot of support in order to set up a nice basis for us, where we can head into this particular African economy, and meet also with all the central role players that's required to make the platform viable in this economy. Then this is very exciting for me. We are in discussion with a travel platform, decentralized travel platform, where you'll be able to utilize your KAU and KAG as a medium as a currency in order to travel throughout the world. So they offer a lot of benefits to us, and we also offer a lot of benefits to them. It's very likely that they'll also be connecting into our blockchain network. From a yield generation perspective, all of those things are still in discussion. But they're already giving us access to about well over 800,000 hotels worldwide and 400 airline flights. So the great aspect from this arrangement is also the reward system that's attached to it. So the more you travel, the more you'll be rewarded for it. And you'll be able to use your rewards to book new plane tickets and new hotels as well. So this is a very nice and exciting prospect for us. Then heading towards, the payment gateways. So we're discussing we're now in discussion with 2 platforms that will give us in total access to about 32, maybe a bit more African countries in terms of a payment gateway, and also a debit card that we can use or we can attach to our monetary system within Africa. So from that perspective, as soon as we start having, we start launching this railway with this blockchain networks, we immediately will have something as well that we can give to the individuals that sign into Kinesis platform. Then coming back to the central banks and so forth, we are also now busy with one central bank discussing digital asset policy. In fact, I'll be at one of their workshops from the 3rd to the 4th of September. They've invited me to also provide input into their current policy formation and so forth. So I'm really looking forward to that, and it's also one of those things, where Kinesis plays a role in actually engaging with the government and also with the central bank in policy formation, and it sets a good precedent in terms of working together with the government. Then lastly, again, at this stage we are focusing a lot also on the East African economy, because there's a lot of potential within this economy. Many of you will know I mentioned that on the 10th of August, we will have an event. We have postponed the event to closer to the launch date. We just thought that it provides a greater clarity and more energy by engaging with this event, because there will be a number of banking CEOs, governmental individuals. We're looking at about 450 individuals, top class individuals that will be at this event. So we want to spread the Kinesis energy closer to the launch date. So yeah, in a nutshell, that is from me. Thank you, and yeah, let's keep the focus on Kinesis. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, Chris. So I guess now, Andy, or Tom, are we coming back onto the minting now? So we can kick off from there.
Sure. Should I kick in now with the minting?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, you bet. Okay, so obviously you just heard about some very, very exciting developments. I mean, I have to pinch myself every day, because this is going far, far bigger and far, far faster than I think any one of us could have imagined. And really thanks to an amazing team of people, which hard to even describe how good this entire team is. But look, just talking about the minting, there's a couple of things to discuss. Everyone can see what has so far been minted. Now that really is on an individual basis, and so there's 26,800 KAUs been minted, 162,848. I'm just looking at the actual numbers as of yesterday, and that's basically about 4.163 million in minting. However, now this is the biggie: the institutional minting is just about to launch. Now, with that in mind, I've just returned well, we just returned from our ABX Kinesis Liechtenstein vaults. And what we're doing there is spearheading the imminent initiative to monetize vaulted gold globally. Now, in order to facilitate institutional size minting, it has to be risk-free. Now, in order to do that, we had to secure London underwritten embezzlement insurance as well as terrorism insurance. Now, which, by the way, exceeds anything that Loomis, Brinks, or any other vaulting provider that we know of has in place. This is a particularly corralled into the Liechtenstein vaults because of their incredible systems. Now, essentially what we're saying is Kinesis is the only solution that's able to liquefy and mobilize gold for everyday use. And this initiative is now moving onto the front burner, guys. Now, what this means is that the global vaulting providers and asset managers that we've been talking to and even visiting our vaults with essentially are now able to eliminate vaulting fees for their clients. And I mean, what about a game changer that is? I mean, this turns the unallocated, allocated argument right on its head. Now, you know, literally billions of dollars of physical gold and silver are destined to enter the physical gold and silver space, which one-to-one is monetized by the Kinesis currency system. And with the ABX, allocated bullion exchange, providing the necessary, well-proven institutional grade platform, which is key here, the minting phase is now on the front burner. And really, when you think about it, you've just been listening to everyone talking about the secondary market demand. This is necessary to fulfill this secondary market demand. So this is all in place. And part of the genius that Tom created at the very, very beginning, which was, it's one thing to have an institutional platform, but it's another thing to actually have that secondary market adoption. And so that's what we have here. This is why it's so exciting. Now, this is also a solution, not just for institutionals. This is a solution for everybody. It's no longer, it's no longer an incentive to hold high risk, unallocated paper gold contracts when you actually have an alternative. And you can fully own the gold that you have, and you can insure them in fully independent audited third-party vaults in your name. Not only do you eliminate these costly storage fees, but of course, this is the key, minters also share in a yield system model which rewards users for their participation based upon the overall growth of the system. So this is a beautiful thing. And so just very last thing though, very important, and it's really an appeal. Each of us using the Kinesis system becomes a part of the solution to address a broken banking system. And we can all claim a stake in the only sound money basket that defeats the law of money, which is Gresham's law. So all I will say is, guys, I'm excited. I hope you are. Come and join us, become a part of this solution. That's all I've got to say today.
Love it, Andy. Love it. Yeah, I'll just add on to what Andy said as well in saying that, firstly, when it comes to institutional money and large investor money, I mean, what gold investment really constitutes is a safe haven investment. And whether it be a billionaire, whether it be institutional fund money, that's what it really represents in their portfolio. So in going to an investor like that and saying, hey, can you reallocate your physical metal holdings that you're holding in a certain vault and bring it across into this new system? The first thing that they're, you know, even though the model might sound amazing and almost too good to be true, even though it is true, that the first thing they look at is, oh, well, are you live? Are you running? What's your track record? Oh, this is something new and different. And it can create like just a little, it can create hesitancy there. And particularly when it pertains to precious metal investors, what it constitutes in their portfolio, and overall precious metal investors are a rather skeptical bunch as well. So what we've done is that all these different levels of insurances. So because Kinesis is just simply a counterparty in trade, we also want to get full embezzlement and a full range of insurances across that. Offering a secure solution beyond anything else on planet Earth, effectively. That's been done in collaboration with OZL, the Liechtenstein vaulting entity. So we're hoping now the embezzlement insurance, everything is now being submitted, pre-approved, and hopefully will be in place within 2 weeks. And so we're hoping to see that large institutional money come in by the end of the IMO, the initial minting offer. And that's going to be considerable. That will make us, one of the larger, we call it IMO, and we're trying to really disconnect ourselves actually at the moment from the cryptocurrency space, just because of the size of the deals that we're doing, both at the institutional level and at the governmental level. So yeah, that's what I'll say there. Let's move on from there.
Lovely. So I guess, Nigel, over to you.
Hello, everybody. I hope you can hear me. Right, my updates are covering the KBE release and also a third-party partnership we have in place with a company called Kinesis. So starting off first with the KBE release, as Tom kind of mentioned earlier on in the webinar, we are on target. We are fully into our UAT cycles. We have been through numerous UAT cycles so far, and we are raising and closing bugs. We are doing more of the latter and the former, but we still find a few, so we are going through our testing cycles. We have also engaged in the process of the KBE 2 third-party companies who are security and pen test companies. That was something we did. We used one for our KCX release. We're using 2 for our KBE. One of those parties is CREST accredited. Now, for those of you who may not be aware what the CREST approved is, CREST is really an international not-for-profit accreditation and certification body that represents and supports the technical information security market globally. It provides internationally recognized accreditations for organizations and professional level certification for individuals and organizations. It has active engagement with governments and regulators, as well as the technical cybersecurity markets. So by engaging in work with these companies, they really are putting our system through its paces, which is good. We have gone through our first cycle with 2 companies that I alluded to. We have taken their feedback and their recommendations for improvements, and we are encapsulating those into the system and have got them into our UAT bug fix cycle. So we are working through those. It's been a very good process. We've worked well with them, and it's sometimes really quite unnerving to open up a system and just have 2 third-party companies come in from anywhere. It could be from the copy shop over the road, it could be from their offices, and basically they get into the system and they tell you how far they've got and what they've seen and what you need to lock down to stop. So it's a very, very valuable exercise we're doing, and it's something that is increasing the quality of our product, and is a really welcome addition to our team, really. These are 2 well-known companies. So the KBE aspect, we are on target. We are firmly in our UAT testing cycles and bug fixing cycles, and we are looking good. The second point I mentioned at the start that I'd like to cover is very briefly Kinesis. Now, Kinesis are For those of you who may not have read anything that has been put out into the public domain, Qantas really is a third-party debit card provider, and they have numerous solutions. Now we're engaging with Qantas for our first step, which will allow Kinesis users to exchange their KAU, KAG into fiat, and then top up a debit card and spend it. That is a piece of work that we are engaged with that third party now. We are scoping and working through the initial aspects of that in a pilot iterative manner. But our focus, let me assure you all, is on the KBE and getting that and keeping that on target and getting that done. But as looking forward and looking for the continuation, we are also engaged with said third party I've mentioned, which is really very exciting, because obviously you then have to start looking at things like PCI DSS and lots of other areas that we need to make our system and it will make our system compliant too. So it's all good. If anybody has any questions that they'd like to raise, please feel free to send them through the channels, through marketing, and then we can have some control responses out to the domain. But I have really nothing else to add directly apart from we're doing well from a technical point of view, and we are progressing nicely. Thank you. Jai?
Lovely, Nigel. Thank you very much. Okay, so that was great, and I think the last thing on the list here, Tom, was a brief touch point with Liechtenstein.
Sorry, am I on?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. So yeah, just on Liechtenstein, we now have completed our incorporation of Liechtenstein. We've got our initial bank account set up as well, and we're proceeding ahead with the launch of the Kinesis exchange based in Kinesis, the Kinesis Liechtenstein entity. So good news on that front. And yeah, I guess should we wrap it up now, Jai?
Yeah, I think so.
Should we?
It's spot on an hour. I think it's good, unless you wanted to. Yeah, unless you wanted to look at any of the questions, but I don't.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I might just make a brief comment about something that I see here in the questions, just around Libra, and I honestly have very big concerns about a global rollout for Libra, and I'll just make comment there quickly, because I mean, it's one thing to be sharing or stealing the data and selling the data of, you know, someone taking selfie photos of themselves, or, you know, sharing what they're doing throughout the day, or taking photos of their food. It's another thing to be handing over that kind of power to one of the largest corporations in the world, and for that corporation to possess that information and data. So, I mean, what Libra have already seen, and I actually think that Facebook is at risk overall by going in this direction, because they're a very large Silicon Valley-based company. In rolling out to countries around the world, I just don't even see it's possible. And this has been by extension of the conversations that we've been in around the world as well. I don't see nations, particularly developing nations, allowing participation of Libra within that country. They'll definitely disallow, many will definitely disallow that being used as a payment system. And I think that Facebook's even at risk of being completely disallowed by countries. So it's sort of opened a door there that I think is very dangerous for Facebook. Whereas where we see ourselves as taking a very prudent path of expansion, whereby you know, we collaborate with regulators, we get approved, like pre-approvals, we collaborate with government-owned entities, post offices, national exchanges, and what that means is, so let me explain the difference. We go into, say, Indonesia, and we do a deal with Jakarta Futures Exchange for our technology. Now, that technology goes out with the brand Jakarta Futures Exchange and powered by ABX and Kinesis. The payment system, it goes out under brand, but powered by Kinesis. We see all the trade, we see all the liquidity flows through us, but ultimately it's taking this highly compatible and collaborative approach to national rollouts, and that they get out. They can wave the national flag. These organizations flowing through us. So we're able to sort of get the best of both worlds there. And obviously we have a highly valuable solution at the institutional side. Every single business we go to, it's not just, hey, we have a valuable solution. It's, hey, you can increase your revenue. You can have a whole new revenue line. In the case of mining, like say, because gold miners are going to be banging our sort of crosshairs shortly. We think that over time, by them being minters in our system, they will actually be generating more revenue through the ongoing minters yield than they will be receiving profits on the sales of their gold. So that shows you how valuable our solution is. Then for precious metal investors, it's pretty difficult to steer away from our value proposition. Hey, you know how you're paying storage fees on your metal? Yeah, that's finished now. And you get the most secure solution on planet Earth. And you get a yield. And that in comparison to obviously precious metal investment. But then let's compare us to other mainstream investment options out there. Okay, we've gone back into an interest rate decreasing environment where across the world we have negative real interest rates. In some countries, we have negative nominal interest rates. As I mentioned before, Switzerland has negative 0.75%. So if you have bank deposits, what that means is that you are giving your money to the bank, yes? Then the bank has legal title of your money. You're an unsecured creditor of the bank. The bank can do whatever they want with their money, lend it out, invest it. Privilege, you have to give the bank more money, right? So it's like me giving you money and then saying, hey, because I've given you money, you have to also give me more money. So that's the proposition there. So precious metals are becoming, and you're seeing this with the increase in price, their default investment option. Now, by attaching a yield to it, the holder's yield, we have like effectively like transformed precious metals into becoming a mainstream investment asset class. Whereas before it was just like a solid piece of metal that would just sit there and burn a hole in your pocket. Yeah, great safe haven investment. Now we're saying, okay, we've completely transformed all that. Doesn't burn a hole in your pocket anymore. You get a yield from it, just like a bank deposit. In addition to that, that yield will probably be far in excess of any bank deposits, far in excess. We've developed a system of collective sharing of wealth. But it can be used as a payment option as well. So it's been monetized. So I think we've got the right model to be rolling out globally, and I believe that we have the right strategy, whether it be at the governmental level, institutional level, or retail level, for mass adoption around the world. And we have really strong initiatives in all those three areas of society. And I mean, as Eric mentioned before, just out of Malaysia, you know, that's going to be the next post office coming online for us. It's the largest remittance market for Indonesia. And it's larger than any published data on the internet as well, because we checked that out. It's quite significant. The remittance market between Indonesia and Malaysia is 11 billion, approximately 11 billion. And just look at the rhetoric from the Prime Minister of Malaysia. See what he's calling for. He's calling for what a way, what a pathway, what a that's there for Kinesis. We're the only system on planet Earth that has the full closed loop monetary system. And not only that, we continue to build out this ecosystem to be larger and larger and larger. You'll see smart city solutions come in. So, you know, we've done a deal with basically the most reputable sort of smart city solution provider in the world. We're doing work with the United Nations, etc. So, and that we'll see pilot studies coming out through the United Nations where we're showing the value of our system and of blockchain, and how we empower the people, how they can take ownership of their money. I mean, you just need to look at the sort of vision and mission pillars and objective pages in the blueprint document. And in addition to that, the power of blockchain. So, no, I want to thank everyone for their time. And we're super excited at our end. And hey, look, launch is just around the corner. And we're looking forward to getting down to business. This is the exciting time. This is the and actually, this is our set at Kinesis. As you know, like we're like market and exchange professionals. We've adopted what we think is the most efficient blockchain solution, and then marrying everything up together to provide the greatest and most valuable solution. In addition, the very sequential strategic globally and at all areas of society. So yes, I want to thank and looking forward to providing updates again shortly.
Well, thank you very much, Tom, and thank you very much, everybody, for attending. This session is recorded and it'll go out. Keep your eyes open for the poll that we're going to send out to you, and I think we can finish it up there. So thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.